the untold story of Africa at the FIFA World Cup. From 0 teams to the dream of 10. Before the World Cup even began, let's go back before 1930. Football arrived in Africa through colonial powers: England, France, Portugal, Belgium. Football spreads throughout Africa: Egypt, South Africa, Sudan, Morocco, Tunisia, Algeria. The game grows. Children play barefoot. Local clubs are born. Football becomes part of African culture. Yet when FIFA creates the World Cup, Africa has almost no voice inside world football. In 1930, the first World Cup, Uruguay, 13 nations, not a single African country. Qualified teams from Africa, 0. Not because Africa had no football, because Africa had no guaranteed pathway. At that time, FIFA was dominated by European and South American associations. Africa simply wasn't considered a football power. In 1934, history changes. Egypt defeats Palestine in qualifying. They become first African nation, first Arab nation ever to play at the FIFA World Cup. Although Egypt loses to Hungary, history had already been made. Africa had finally appeared on football's biggest stage. After Egypt, nothing. 1938, no Africa. 1950, no Africa. 1954, no Africa. 1958, no Africa. 1962, Morocco comes heartbreakingly close. They lose in the Intercontinental Playoff. Africa waits, again. Instead of receiving its own qualification places, Africa had to compete against Europe or Asia. Sometimes an African champion had to beat another African nation, then defeat a European nation, just to earn one place. Imagine asking an entire continent, with more than 250 million people at the time, to fight for a place that Europe already had many of. It wasn't fair. Everyone knew it. The Revolution, 1966. Everything changes. FIFA announces qualification. Africa receives 0 guaranteed places. Again. One place would be shared between Africa, Asia, and Oceania. That was the breaking point. 15 African nations refused to play. No matches, no qualifiers, nothing. The boycott shocked FIFA. For the first time, African football spoke with one voice, one message. We deserve our own place. Sometimes, history changes, without a football being kicked. The first victory, 1930 to 1966. Africa waited. Not for a trophy, not for glory, just a chance. For 36 years, from the very first World Cup until 1966, Africa had 0 guaranteed places at the FIFA World Cup. 1930 to 1966, guaranteed places, 0. Imagine over 40 nations fighting for almost nothing. One continent, no guaranteed seat, no guarantee that Africa even belonged. 1970, everything changed. Not because Africa won the World Cup, because Africa finally won respect. For the first time in history, Africa received 1 guaranteed World Cup place. 1970, guaranteed places, 1. One place, one nation, one dream, one chance. Morocco qualified. They didn't just represent themselves, they carried an entire continent. They drew Bulgaria, and Africa earned its first World Cup point under the guaranteed qualification era. One team, one flag, hundreds of millions watching. 1974. Still, only one place. This time, Zaire qualified, the first sub-Saharan African nation ever to reach the World Cup. The results weren't good, but qualification proved something even more important.
Africa belonged. 1978. Still, only one place. Tunisia qualified. Then history happened. Tunisia defeated Mexico. Africa finally won its first ever World Cup match. The football world could no longer ignore the continent. 3 World Cups. 1970, one team. 1974, one team. 1978, one team. 3 tournaments, 3 representatives. An entire continent forced to place all its hopes on a single flag. FIFA finally starts listening. Africa receives 2 places. For the first time, 2 African nations would qualify: Cameroon, Algeria. Then came one of football's greatest shocks. Algeria defeated West Germany. The entire world was stunned. But politics struck. West Germany and Austria played the infamous disgrace of Gijón, a result that eliminated Algeria despite one of the tournament's greatest performances. The outrage was so great, FIFA permanently changed its rules. From then on, the final group stage matches would always be played at the same time. Even in defeat, Africa changed football forever. 1986. Still, only 2 places. Morocco shocked the world. They became the first African nation ever to reach the round of 16. Another barrier had fallen. Cameroon changes everything. Still, only 2 places. Roger Milla, 38 years old. Most people believed his career was finished. Instead, he danced. He scored. He inspired. Cameroon defeated defending champions Argentina, then reached the quarterfinals. For the first time ever, an African nation stood among the final 8. The world stopped calling African football a surprise. It became a contender. The reward. FIFA finally responded. Africa's allocation increased again. Now, 3 places: Nigeria, Cameroon, Morocco. 3 African flags, 3 opportunities. Africa was finally earning the recognition it had fought decades to receive. The big expansion. The World Cup expanded from 24 teams to 32. Africa received 5 guaranteed places, the biggest increase in history. This wasn't charity, it was earned. Through Morocco, through Tunisia, through Algeria, through Cameroon, through every generation that proved Africa belonged. The Golden Era. Senegal arrived, their first World Cup. Opening match. Their opponent? Defending champions France. The world expected an easy French victory. Instead, Senegal won. The football world stood still. They reached the quarterfinals. Another African miracle. 2006. Ghana made its World Cup debut. Another new African nation. Another round of 16 appearance. Another generation inspired. 2010. History returned home. For the first time ever, Africa hosted the FIFA World Cup. South Africa became the first African host nation. Because hosts qualify automatically, 6 African teams participated, 5 through qualification, plus South Africa. Then came one of football's most heartbreaking moments. Ghana, Uruguay. Extra time. One final attack. Luis Suarez deliberately handled the ball on the goal line. Red card. Penalty. History stood 11 meters away. Asamoah Gyan stepped forward. Silence. The crossbar shook. Millions across Africa watched in disbelief. A place in the semi-finals missed by inches. One kick. One moment. One dream delayed.
Morocco breaks the wall. Still, 5 qualification places. Morocco shocked the world. They defeated Belgium, Spain, Portugal, then made history. The first African nation and the first Arab nation to reach a FIFA World Cup semi-final. Nearly 90 years after Egypt first represented Africa, the wall had finally been broken. The new era. Then football changed forever. The FIFA World Cup expanded again, from 32 teams to 48. Africa now receives 9 guaranteed places. Plus, one additional nation can qualify through the Intercontinental Playoffs. For the first time ever, Africa can send up to 10 nations to football's biggest stage. Look at the journey. 1930 to 1966, 0, 1971, 1982, 2, 1994, 3, 1998, 5, 2026, 9. Guaranteed up to 10 teams from 0 to 1, from 1 to 2, from 2 to 3, from 3 to 5, from 5 to 10. A journey that took nearly a century. The story continues. But this story cannot end without talking about one nation that reminded the world why football is beautiful. Cape Verde, a small island nation in the Atlantic Ocean, a country many people never expected to see on football's biggest stage. Yet they arrived at the World Cup for the very first time. Nobody expected them to compete. Nobody expected them to challenge the giants. But they did. They stood face to face with Argentina, and they refused to back down. For 90 minutes, they fought with courage, with discipline, with belief. The match finished 2-2. Extra time followed. And although Cape Verde did not advance, something bigger happened. The world finally learned their name. Because football has never been only about lifting trophies. Sometimes it's about earning respect. It's about inspiring millions. It's about proving that dreams do not belong only to the powerful. Cape Verde showed that a small island can have a giant heart. They showed every African child that your population does not define your potential. Your history does not define your future. Your size does not define your courage. The real victory. This story was never just about qualification spots. It was never just about numbers. It was about generations who refused to give up. Players who carried an entire continent on their shoulders. Teams that lost so future generations could win. Every extra place Africa earned was paid for by decades of sacrifice. And now, a new generation begins. Not with one team, not with 2, not with 5, but with up to 10 nations. The journey from 0 to 10. It is one of the greatest stories in football history, and the next chapter has only just begun. Africa isn't coming anymore. Africa has arrived.